Good morning. Happy Saturday. Special start time. 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 5:30 a.m. Pacific. We got not one but two dynamite, badass human beings hopped on today. And super pumped. I'm going to start off by sending love to our co-pilot, Big Dave, who we love, and lost his mom this week. So let's all give Dave some love in the comments, in the chats, as we get ready for him to hop on. And we'll get this party started. Eddie, I see you on, brother. We're going to bring you on in less than five. Let me know how everybody's feeling today on this beautiful Saturday and what you're most pumped about. Hey, Colleen. Where is Big Dave? How about this winter, huh? Absolutely freezing here in New York City. But we do love to get uncomfortable. Big Nick, just waiting for Dave. Let me know how you guys are feeling today. How's 2025 shaping up? What's been a nice win this week, big or small? And how are we changing the way we're thinking? What's been a breakthrough for you guys so far this year? I know for me, it's been taking inventory of where I've been currently limiting myself and then questioning those limitations. That's been very expansive. Colleen or Nick, have you guys, with Davis? How would you guys define success? What does success mean to you? Or waiting for Dave to hop on? Can we give Dave a call, guys? If not, we'll bring on our first guest, Eddie, right now. We'll get this party started. Beautiful, Colleen. Have you or Nick called Dave? All right, we'll bring on Eddie right now. When Dave hops on, he'll join us. Eddie.
What's up, man?
What's up, brother? How are you? Thank you for your patience. We're waiting for my co-pilot to hop on.
No worries.
Yeah, uncharacteristic of him, but he's had a tough week, so I'm sure he'll join us in a couple of minutes. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing great. Where are you located? Where are you based out
of? So I live in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. I'm in Charlotte this morning for an event we're speaking at. We've got a fire wealth event this morning.
Beautiful. Yeah. Super pumped to connect, and we have a lot of mutual friends, and been waiting for this for a while. I encourage all of our community to check out your content. It's awesome. It's badass. One of the things that you talk about often is the importance of setting parameters in business, and I thought that was so profound. I'd love you to unpack that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, business is and should be a science. I think most entrepreneurs treat it as if it's art, and I don't. That's why I've built and sold over 100 companies. And so those parameters are really what propels you to success. What you measure is what you get, and so what you don't measure oftentimes just goes undone. And so setting those parameters are really, really important. And I think that there's all kinds of parameters you have to set. You have to set your parameters on what you expect. You have to set parameters on what you expect from your employees. And you have to set parameters on what you expect from yourself. And so those measurables are everything in your business.
Yeah. If you can't measure it, then how do you know how you're progressing?
Correct. Yeah. And most people that we come in contact with, small business operators, medium-sized entrepreneurs, it's like they really just don't know where they're at. Part of the kind of fundamental thing that I do in my business is I really am gauging my business in one of five phases at all time. Every quarter we go through a process of really measuring those phases. And your five phases of business are startup, perseverance, that's kind of your pre-profit phase, viability, then scale, then succession. Most people just don't know where they're at, and so they don't know the right or the correct next step to take.
But how come they don't take the time to have the awareness to try to identify where they're at?
Most people are fighting fires. Most small businesses, they're wearing multiple hats. They just don't really have the forethought into what they should be measuring. They fundamentally know that that's what they should be doing, but oftentimes they just aren't managing their time or their systems and processes correctly to understand it or walk through it.
Yeah, beautiful. So good. Another thing that you talk about often is the significance of having a cause bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And that can definitely keep you in the fire when things might get a little challenging and so forth. How important is that for you?
Yeah, causes everything. The first business I built, I had the big, billion-dollar exit in 2019, and was very empty. Like oftentimes, if your identity is the business that you're building, if something goes wrong, Dave often talks about losing all the money. But it's like my friends, whether they've lost the money or they've struggled or they've sold or they've exited like me, you still find yourself in the same boat. If your identity is tied to the business itself, then that identity is going to go away. At some point, that identity is going to fade. It's going to go away. And if you can tie yourself to a cause, the cause never goes away. And then the business just becomes a tool to enact all of the effort or to kind of streamline your effort towards a cause. And the other big thing today is that most people are looking to tie to a cause. And so if you want to really limit the amount of attrition in your business, have a cause that's so big that everyone else's cause can fit inside of it. And that's what's different about my private equity firm now is that it's completely cause driven. I always say that I'm a cause capitalist. I believe in making money. I believe in making profit, but that profit should go to serve more than just me and my employees. It should go to serve other people that need impact on their lives. And so that cause is huge. And it's why, we went from, 0 to 1 billion in 5 years. The first time I built the private equity company, this time we're 2 years old and we're already at about 700 million in valuation. And it's completely tied to how fast we're literally moving that fast because the cause is so great.
The money and the profits is the byproduct of the consciousness of the cause. And I love what you said there because we've had on some of the most well-known athletes, Hall of Famers on the podcast, and they often say that once their career is over in that particular sport, they have trouble with the identity because their identity for so long was tied into what they did for a living, NFL, whatever the case may be. But if you have the cause, then whatever the arena is just the vehicle to share that cause with the world.
You got it. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And also with money right there, it's interesting because I think that a lot of people struggle with money. They have different relationships with it and so forth. But when the main consciousness is the cause and to do the right thing, you end up making more money than you originally thought possible. Yeah. But when you make money the sole consciousness, sole cause, typically there's a lot of turbulence, lack of fulfillment, or you begin to sabotage it, right?
Yeah. I think honestly, we're just a conduit in this world and in this life. And when you tie that conduit towards something greater, it's like what comes to you, the resources begin to expand. And so I think that's what you're talking about is that the consciousness of a cause just all of a sudden just naturally attracts more resources. I always have three principles in my life that I really go by. And it's these three words. It's time, wealth, purpose. Time, I believe if you control your time and you architect your time towards what really matters in this life, ultimately all resources begin to come to you. I think that's the wealth portion. And if you realign your consciousness of what wealth is, I believe wealth is just providing for my needs tomorrow without diminishing my actual resources for tomorrow, my needs for today, resources for tomorrow. And then ultimately it's tied towards that purpose. And so I need to generate mass wealth, but that wealth, if it's tied to something greater, and if my time is architected towards it, then I start to create purpose in my life, and that purpose gives me fulfillment. Using my time properly is not very fulfilling. Having wealth is actually not fulfilling, but tying it to purpose is ultimately fulfilling. And so for me, it's just this constant focusing on those three things.
This is everything right now. When did you first realize that wealth and all the things, although nice sparks of light, will never actually create fulfillment?
Not until I was on the mountaintop, and it's like what happens is as an entrepreneur, it's like you're constantly climbing the mountaintop and you get to the peak and you realize like, oh, there's something bigger. And then you go to the next one, and you go to the next one, and you find this like cyclical pattern that most people are in where they're just seeking for the next, the next high, the next dopamine hit. And so for me, it was the $1 billion exit year. And I was like, well, I don't know if I could go any higher. Like that's it. Like I don't know what else to do. And then I found myself in the depths of despair and and really struggling with a lot of depression. And so I got to that point and it was like I got to figure this out. Like I have to figure out what actually brings me fulfillment, because everything I've been chasing for 35 years has brought me the exact opposite. And so it was after the mountaintop is when I actually began to discover what purpose was in my life. And then that purpose ultimately started to give me fulfillment.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. How long ago was that?
2019, so about 5-6 years ago now.
Amazing. Yeah, it changes everything when you're able to actually tap into purpose and so forth.
Yeah.
And just beautiful. Big Dave just hopped on. I'm gonna bring him on for a minute, actually for the rest of the show, and be good to see him. I know he could use some love today. Yeah. How important is spirituality to you, Eddie?
Spirituality, everything. Hey, Dave.
Hey, buddy.
Praying
hey,
for
Dave.
you.
First of all, we love you.
About you. Yeah.
Thank you for your patience. And thank goodness it was Eddie Wilson, because I knew you were in good hands. Anyone else, I've been a little worried.
Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for your patience again. I'm here in Chicago, and right after the funeral, and I want to thank everyone for their well wishes. But it's great to be here, and thanks for let's continue on.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So Eddie, spirituality, most important thing for you?
Yeah, spirituality is very, very important. I grew up in a very faith-based household, where the concept of God and the concept of faith was very much something tied to my parents. It was kind of this patriarchal concept to me. And until I really was struggling with inner struggles, faith and spirituality really had no bearing on me. I just associated that with something else. And it was really in the depths of despair and struggle is when I decided that, if I am the only source in this world, then I have some massive limitation, and that if there is something greater than me, then I want to explore what that is. And it was then that exploration that brought me to a place of belief of like, okay, and then there must be something greater. There must be some order to all of this. And then obviously, most of what I've experienced in this life isn't tied to my own doing. And then it was spirituality was really the conduit, or it was that was the connection point. And so very, very important to me. I would say, Dave and I've had a ton of conversations about this at the Aspire Tour and other things, but it's like spirituality is very much a place of existence for me today.
This is what I love to jam out on. So I don't know if I've ever heard someone articulate it the way you have. Beautiful. If we're the only source, then we're very limited. Mm-hmm. So what if we were to explore something bigger? Dave, I know you love this stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, think about the word resource. And in itself, we want to be the greatest resource that we can. If we're a resource, then there must be a source. And one of the things yesterday I spoke about was I lacked faith. Came from a very faith-based family, a very religious family. I mean, for goodness sake, my brother's a famous rabbi, and my mom being a principal of the San Diego Jewish Academy. But I lacked faith until I realized, being a 57-year-old mama's boy, that, my life wasn't complete until I realized there was something bigger than me, as Eddie suggests, this omniscient, all-knowing, and all-powerful source that loved me, protected me, promoted me, and perfected me more than my own mom. And that to me was the ultimate inspiration. Remember, if there's an omniscient and all-knowing and all-powerful source, and you are a resource, then this is the source of when things don't go as planned, when there's no evidence that I'm going to get anywhere that I want to be, or worse, that has occurred to all three of us in our lives. There's contrary evidence that we're going to get to anywhere positive or anywhere we want to be, and knowing that there's something that is all knowing and all powerful, and that I'm not supposed to understand. There's not supposed to be evidence. There's supposed to be contrary evidence that allow for these detours to be divine in their nature, and it requires faith. And in that faith, we become these amazing resources that have no limitation other than the meaning we give ourselves and our bodies. And when we give a meaning to the past, aligned with the imagination or the self image of being a resource, now we can pursue a potential far greater than the imaginations of others, and hopefully continue to expand our own imaginations as well.
Beautiful. I heard a quote that reminded me of what you just said. I might butcher it. It was that absence of their evidence is not evidence of their absence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Eddie, this is great, brother. What are you most excited about right now? What are you working on? How can our community maybe get involved and stay in your movie and so forth?
You know, we're always pushing forward on a lot of different fronts. We're rolling up some different companies and different things like that, which is always fun. But to me, the two things that I constantly go back to is this community that we're building called the Aspire Tour, and Dave's been a part of it and so gracious to give his time to it. But this, movement that we've created where 3, 4, 5,000 people a month gather in a city to get inspiration and some direction and tie to greater things is a privilege for me to be a part of. And so I always want to promote that. And then ultimately, what its foundation is what we do to help others, which is impact others. That's the nonprofit. That's the nonprofit organization that we tie all that to. And that's the feeding centers and orphanages around the world. We're serving in over 100 countries now, feeding and educating about 4,500 kids a day, digging clean water projects, starting sustainable businesses. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's about creating something greater that then is directed at something that needs impact, and that's what we want to do. So always want to have people along for that journey, whether it's they need some inspiration, they need some help, or they've found themselves with inspiration and they've got a lot of output and resources that they would love to sow into others.
Beautiful.
And Craig, can I add? I just want to thank Eddie specifically with Andrew and others with the Aspire Tour, because I know a lot of people come to see people like Eddie and Andrew, myself, and Goggins, and just the best speakers in the world are there. But I just have to tell you from the other side of the stage that nothing has impacted my life, and I wouldn't miss uh, any of the Aspire Tour and the community that it is. Knowing the two ways that change our lives is finding people that sit in a situation we want to be in, like Eddie Wilson, who's a mentor of mine as well as a friend, who I listen backstage all the time and watch these guys on stage, because I know that's the fastest way to get me where I want to be, but also to help others get where they want to be as well. And if you'd like that opportunity, join the Aspire community. Eddie and Andrew have a bunch of other things going on, as well as the charitable aspect of everything that they do. So I just wanted to take a moment and thank Eddie, because when I started the Aspire Tour, I was thinking, well, another great speaking engagement. It's not. It's a family and it's a movement. And if you're looking in my mission to be a part of that, of making a lot of money and being abundant like Eddie is, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. I think that to me is the greatest aligned activity that I do in my entire journey. So, Eddie, I told you yesterday when we spoke briefly as he was giving me his condolences yesterday. That I just wanted to thank him for allowing me to be a part of the Aspire Tour. So, different cities every month, and there's different activities beyond the Aspire Tour that look into. And I wanted to take a moment and thank you publicly as well, Eddie. So, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Eddie, thank you so much, brother, for joining us. I'm looking forward to connecting with you offline.
Absolutely, man. Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Big Dave, love
Yes,
you.
sir.
Love you. I'm just going to give you a hug.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll bring on a second guest, and then I'm sure you're speaking soon.
Did I tell you why I was late?
No.
Because this very first time I passed out after I took the red eye after the funeral, and for some reason, Hashem, my phone did not ring. It did not go off. I took a knock on the door by Nick. I was out cold, so thanks for your
No problem.
patience. But I did miss 206 5 episodes.
Yeah, I knew you'd hop on it. No problem at all, Dave.
And
Love you.
thank
Speaking of handsome juggernauts, Seif, how are you?
Hey, buddy, how are you? Good to see you all.
Thank you. Good morning. At least over here. Where are you?
Dubai, so it's almost 6
Oh,
p.m.
How you doing? Good?
All is going great. How about you?
We're doing great. We're excited to have
Love
you.
the conversation. Thank you very much. Love the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive right in. Your content's off the charts. One of the best speakers. I love the energy and so forth. What does it mean to you to unleash the alpha?
Oh, a lovely question. But like for me, an alpha is a person whose stop button is broken, which means there are people that they go after their goals, their objectives without stopping. But why it happened or why it started, it was simply because I saw that we live in an era of social media where we see two things. One of them is completely fake. People don't understand that what's shown on social media, that a big part of it's fake. And the other part, which is what they see is top of the iceberg. They don't see what is below the iceberg, what it needs to be taken to succeed in general. So I created the Alpha movement to make the people fulfill their potential. I don't want people just to sit and compare themselves with either fake or just the tip of the iceberg. No, we have a lot to do.
All gas, no brakes. Everybody's smiling.
Yeah.
I love that saying, man, that there are people without the stop button because with all the thousands of interviews that I've done and been surrounded by the people that have had exceptional success in their topics, subject matters, and expertises from athletes, celebrities, billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, there's only one common denominator. And I used to say it was the desire that they must be what they can be, but I think they just are missing a stop button. So I can simplify it even further. So thank you.
I love it. Love it.
This is so good. Another thing that's very important to you that you talk about is the importance of building a culture in the business. Sometimes that's overlooked. Why is that so important for you?
Building a culture, like you can't, culture is like kind of values and principles that guides you towards your mission or your goal. You can't build something great that you want to build without having everybody around you aligned to the values and the principles that you have. So in order to build something big, great, sustainable for long term, not just like in and out, you need to have a proper culture to support you. And at the end of the day, it's not a one game show or a one man show thing. You need to build a culture to move you in this direction, to move with you in this direction.
Dave, you're the king of that.
Yeah, well, it's so true. Within the context of building a culture, number one, we need those values and principles. And as you know, Craig, in order to build a culture, you have to be annoying. What do I mean by that? Everybody knows you got to be repetitive and
True.
honest. And people hate repetitive things and honest things, especially our children. And so you need values, but then on top of the annoying aspect of repetition and honesty of essence, you need also to have practices. And so we need to instill the daily practices that are going to help us accelerate in a divine direction of where we want to be as a collective consciousness, a group organization in the fastest way we can to learn more lessons. And then, of course, we actually need to provide a framework or an execution model. And so people talk about culture and think that culture, just like success, will come overnight. It does not. It needs to aggregate on itself, it needs to accelerate. And then a culture will compound its outcome, compound its own essence as a collective, only if we have those values and principles, the practices, and the execution model, and utilizing the great skill of being annoying, of being repetitive and honest with people.
Is there a difference about being annoying and being persistent?
So that's an interesting question. No one's ever asked that. So in my perspective, there's a nuance within the context of being annoying. So if you're repetitive and honest, it doesn't mean that you're persistent, because what we really want to know is, do you have, because you're going to make mistakes if you're repetitive and honest, and it's not the mistakes that are going to stop you, it's the lack of commitment. So you can be repetitive and honest, but if you lack commitment, you lack the desire that you must be what you can be, you have a stop button. Even if you're repetitive and honest, you may quit. Persistency needs that common denominator of the no stop button, the desire that you must be what you can be, because it's only the lack of commitment that will stop you from not only being persistent, but stop you from your divine direction of being what you must be.
I love that. Can I add one thing to
Please.
it? I love that because like to repeat something means it is important and it's critical. If on the other side they took it as it's annoying, then in absolute there is a mismatch. Because as a leader of whatever a culture, or you're trying to build a culture, if you repeat, it means it's important to you and it's critical for the business, critical for the community. So if the others took it as you're annoying, I think there is a mismatch. It's already they're not fitting.
So good.
Yeah, beautiful. Before we hop off today, Steve, what are you most excited about right now? What do you have going on? And our community is going to want to go a little deeper.
Wow, look, most importantly to me is the Alpha Talks. I'm running a show called the Alpha Talks. It's an absolutely amazing show that I absolutely curious of every guest that I have on the show. I learn from them a lot. Let me tell you briefly what I'm doing is the previous couple of years I've been running the talks, the Alpha Talks in English only. This year I'm making it in English and Arabic. So I'm doubling the content, reaching much more, I would say, audience and guests. I want to get the message out about the Alpha Talks, and I hope that everybody watching it will really enjoy it. And I know that David is always in Dubai, and I'm gonna get you on the show soon.
Thank you.
I look forward.
Beautiful. I want to get my butt out there too.
Yeah.
Dave, where are you going to be next? Dave, you're in Chicago?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. I want to honor my mom, who passed on Wednesday. We had the funeral yesterday, and I want to thank my family. I took the red eye in. Uh, and it's selfish. People are like, Dave, you don't have to come. You don't have to do this. I'm just saying, selfishly, to surround myself with positive energy, is a remarkable blessing that God's given me, and I want to honor my mom. And so, primarily in my life, I have so many blessings. And publicly, I just want to honor my mother, and I want to thank both of you for allowing me to share today and to be with both of you. And I'd be proud to babysit Craig and come to Dubai and get on the Alpha Dog show. Uh, Please join my community, join my culture, email me directly. I'm service and of value, and I will carry on my mom's legacy with my mission of helping people. And I know both of you are on that same mission. So thank you. David at dmeltzer.com. God bless both of you, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Dave. Love
Our
you.
condolences.
Steve,
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
great to connect you, Steve, and we'll connect offline. And hope everybody has a great weekend. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome.
All right.
And give me some hair tips. See you guys.
Bye,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye bye.
Wow. Episode 205 in the books, guys. Two great guests. Definitely check out all the amazing things that they have going on. Thank you for joining us on Special Star Time today. Just a shout out to my co-pilot, my partner in crime, Big Dave. Love you. Can only imagine how you're navigating that. But it's great to have you here this morning, and you are honoring your mom, and I know that you will continue to do so. And yeah, it's hard to come up with words for things like this. Just sending you our love, and thank you for hopping on. And love you all. Let's have an unbelievable weekend and challenge your limitations, and let's think a little bit bigger.